We are here to bring you everything and anything surrounding Porsche. I'm Mike.
I'm Aaron.
And this is P-Car Talk. Welcome to another episode of P-Car Talk. I am Mike.
And I'm Aaron.
And we are back in the studio. How did you guys enjoy the Don Leatherwood Jim Goodlett series? I hope you guys enjoyed it. By now, they're out. All of them are out. Mm-hmm. We were really, really honored to have them both on the show and spend some time with us. Send us a line, like put us through email, Instagram. We're on there a lot. Let us know what you guys thought about that series. We want to do a lot more of that, obviously, COVID pending, but that's kind of want to get back in the routine. We have some stuff cooking behind the scenes. I don't want to drop names yet because I don't want to promise something that's not showing up yet. But yeah, let us know how you guys enjoyed that. We enjoyed bringing it to you guys, right? That was awesome for us.
I didn't talk much, but I listened a lot.
Yeah, neither one of us did, actually. Yeah. I mean, it was just maybe facilitating, and that's kind of the purpose when we have a guest, though, right?
Like those guys are storytellers for sure.
Exactly. It's not about us, it's about the guest, and that's the whole purpose. We're there to document that, so we try to intervene as little as possible. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. Send us a message on Instagram if you did. We did hear a lot of feedback from some people in person. We ran into some people while we were at Daytona 24 HSR, and they enjoyed it. I hope you guys did too. We love hearing that kind of feedback. Congratulations to this month's club winner for the Coca-Cola hat that we gave away. It's kind of some unattainium stuff. We're working on some more of that to give away for our club members. If you are not a club member, you need to become a club member for multiple reasons, right? There's a drive. We give away stuff every month, usually stuff you can't even buy. And if you do get to buy it, it's super expensive, and your club membership is cheaper than what the price is on a lot of these items. So
that's true. And
ipso facto, you save some money.
Something else that we can bring up is if you don't have a Porsche and you want to be a club member, still cool. Like we're not asking for your VIN number.
Yeah. And on top of that, that's a good point because we've been asked that a couple times through messaging. We actually currently have members that do not have Porsches that are P-Car Club members. So either you're just a fan of Porsche, you never plan on buying a Porsche, or you want to buy a Porsche. There's a lot of ways you can be involved. So yeah, don't let that deter you. Just because you don't own one doesn't mean like you're not part of the club.
Yeah. So that's a fan of the show type of thing. It's a show support thing.
Exactly. Anyways, let's move on. Sebring 12-hour race just passed, right? So that was awesome. If you missed it, that was your last chance to see Porsche factory RSRs in the U.S.
Some sweet liveries too.
Yeah, we're hoping, this is a temporary thing, and we hope the factory team comes back to the U.S. soon. But that was the last race they're racing in the U.S. And we were thankful that the time we did get to spend with them. As Aaron indicated, they did some farewell liveries, some red, white, and blue stuff on the car. When will they return, you think? What's your guesstimation here? I know it's kind of a shot in the dark, and it's one of those things.
When there's a new electric series they can participate in.
Okay.
I think so. I think they've kind of, at least as something.
Like a class within IMSA that's maybe like.
Something they feel like that's worthy of them.
Well, I know they're going to run an LMPH hybrid.
Yeah. They want to further their innovation. So when that happens, I think they, not that they've peaked with those RSRs, but I don't think it's enough for them to keep bringing them over to the States when they can still race and develop home ground.
Yeah. Well, they still are going to race in ELM next year.
WEC, all that stuff. Yeah.
So they can compete in Le Mans. So that's interesting. They're going to stay over there on that side of the pond, but we are definitely going to miss them. I kind of feel like for us, I mean, obviously we know they'll be back at some point. When that date is still up in the air, and we'll never know until they actually make that announcement. Could be a year, could be 10 years, who knows?
Yeah.
Could be never.
Have they gone away and come back before? I mean, I haven't really seen anything.
I didn't really do a ton of research, but I believe they have. But here's the tricky part about this. It's not. Everybody always thinks that IMSA is the end all. It wasn't always called like IMSA forever.
Like the Grand Am series for a long time.
It's changed hands multiple times, so it's kind of a muddy water whether or not there's a break in the action. However, I would believe this is not the first time. Porsche's always in racing. It just might not be in this form. They're still always going to compete in Le Mans because they always have from day one of their existence. So. From a manufacturing standpoint, that makes sense, though, because they are a European company. Le Mans is one of the biggest races, if not the biggest. Yeah, the biggest of the year. So they're always going to try to be in that race. So it makes total sense. It really was a treat, you know, and it wasn't for lack of support from a fan viewership. There was always tons of lot of Porsche support.
Yeah, I think it was actually growing the last few years too.
Yeah, so there's always the people that are not in the know that never go to any of the track stuff. It's not for that. I just want you guys to know it's not for lack of support for Porsche. They have the biggest following and the biggest support, fan support, probably of any manufacturer out there.
Yeah.
Especially at the track. I mean, at least from what we can see visually. Secondly, I think it's one of those things where I think they're preparing for other things. They just can't announce it yet, right?
Yep. Once we think we're seeing previews of it.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too far into that because it's another topic for a little bit later, but you know where I'm going with that. Are you glad that we went to the last few races that got to see them at least at Petit Le Mans and like we're at Sebring? At least it's almost kind of watching one of those great players play in the home court for a little bit.
Weird, like, I mean,
and then it's like, yeah, he may come back. Michael Jordan may come back and maybe not come back. Or
I guess for myself, I mean, I've done a lot since we do what we do now. I've done a lot more racing stuff. And I think that it is cool to see that because, like you said, we don't know when they're coming back. And it's neat to see different liveries that we're never going to see again or see driver combinations, that type of thing. And just in general, see racing.
Yeah, because time passes, right? And as we all get older, it's going to be one of those things. It's like, oh, remember when Van Thor and Tandy and all those guys raced together? Man, that was a dream team. You know, when they won Spa and then they came in and they won Petit Le Mans and they did. It's going to be, unfortunately, as we age, it's just going to be another data point and a historical topic that you talk about at some point to say, hey, remember when? So, unfortunately, we're in that boat right now, but hopefully there'll be a new chapter eventually when they come back on.
We'll be able to podcast right anywhere next to the track, and we'll be able to hear a sound.
Yeah, yeah. Get up in the booth. So, speaking on that topic, we are late into November. Clearly, you're listening to this. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, the show goes on, as Leo says in Wolf of Wall Street. The show goes on.
It's true.
It's Thanksgiving. Obviously, this is pre-recorded, but want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving if you are listening and you're getting away from the fam for a little bit and listening to the podcast. We appreciate you joining in and tapping in. And then, obviously, you know, being selfish, U.S. People are celebrating that day. That day means nothing to everyone else in the 80 other countries that listen to us. So that's what's happening in the U.S. right now is Thanksgiving. But, you know, if you're listening all over the other side of the world and you're not celebrating those things, thanks for joining us as well. I just want to give that big shout out. Where I was going with that is being late November, we're about 2 months away from Rolex 24 now. More racing. Since we're on the topic of Porsche factory racing, we are still attending that race for multiple reasons. A, we want to support IMSA just because they're in our backyard. They're across the state in Daytona. We're only 2.5 hours away.
Easy drive.
Also, it's a great racetrack. It's a great start to the year. It's a great endurance race. It's one of the, well, not one of the best. It is the best endurance race we can go to in the U.S. without having to cross the pond. How do you feel about the impending 60 days coming up, knowing that Porsche's not going to be there as a factory team? Do you feel like the balloon's a little deflated?
I feel like I love the Rolex, being able to attend it. I like the event itself. And so I think that'll be cool.
It's a good overall event, not just because Porsche's there, right? But because all of the manufacturers are there.
Yeah, it's a big event. Everybody tries to show out, you know, new things. And they do a good job about that of their different booths. And
yeah, all the vendors usually try to come out. They bring cool stuff. You see things there you don't normally see, especially in the automotive world. Do you feel a little bit... You know, be honest, be candid. Do you feel a little bit...
A little down, my team's not there.
Yeah. Do you feel a little empty going there this go around?
I mean, no matter what the people are racing, GTD, whatever, the other classes, it's just
not the same, right? Yeah, because you're not as familiar with those drivers. I mean, minus Patrick Long, which is a big name in Porsche anyways, ex-factory driver, now racing for a team and has been for a while.
Well, he's still considered factory.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying. Like, he hasn't raced with the factory team like in one of their cars several years now. I mean, Dempsey Proton's going to be there. Don't get me wrong. Wright's Motorsports are going to field good cars. As we were watching some of the races, they even talked about Dempsey Proton, how many RSRs they purchased to run next year. So they're going to run the factory RSR it ran this year. So you're going to see that car, but it's going to obviously be in different skin for a different team. We're still going to support those guys, obviously, you know, come hell or high water, because those are our guys that win. But unfortunately, it's going to be weird to not see our car in the top dog category, like the GTLM class. And I'm just speaking from a pure fan standpoint. It shouldn't deter you from going. I'm just telling you internally how I'm going to feel. I may go. I'll give you guys a report when we come back, obviously, in 2 months from it. I still think you guys should go to the event because, A, it's colder than nuts everywhere else in the country at that time of the year. Warm. And it's actually pleasant in Daytona. It can be finicky at times. It can be rainy. It can be chilly.
Was the first year that was kind of
it can be rainy and chilly, but it's still better than a lot of the country because think about it. That's late January for all of the north. I mean, we're talking about super cold days, snow most of the time. So if you need some relief, come down to Daytona. They're not paying us to say any of this stuff. We're just encouraging you to support racing if you like racing stuff, regardless of where you're at. Why not? It's Daytona, right? Spring break, bro.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Not really, but you get the point. So, long story short, you feel a little let down. I do too.
A little bit.
But it's still going to be a great time. We're still going.
I think it's going to be similar to our HSR experience, really. We know all of our Porsche boys are going to be there and kind of hang out and chill.
And I think from a standpoint of regardless of when Porsche comes back or if they come back, I think Aaron and I will always attend the Rolex 24 just because it is a great race overall, even if your factory team's not involved in it, even if you're a Ford guy or whatever and you happen to be listening to this for whatever reason. You know, Ford GT's not in it.
Yeah. Just waiting on Dan Davis to get that team back together.
Yeah, exactly. Get the Brumos team out there. But we do have a couple close friends to us, like Allegra Motorsports. They're going to be fielding a team in GTD next year after being outside of, you know, racing and just doing historical racing mainly. But they're going to actually get back into competitive racing again for their class. So that's exciting. We're very close to that team, so we'll hopefully get into the paddock and screw around with those guys a little bit. So I'm really looking forward to the race. The point of that was just, you know, to kind of say, hey, I'm sorry Porsche's not going to be there, but you guys should still be there as a team.
But we know some guys, and I wonder, and now that we do know, we've kind of asked who's going to be there. There's going to be some people that are normally there orchestrating some things. So
more to follow on that as time progresses because we can't divulge what's really going on because I think that's some like behind the scenes stuff. But I think that's more for like support for the other teams.
I think it's for Proton.
Yeah, I think it's the help. Well, they're fielding the cars. Yeah, they usually Dempsey Proton's been fielding a lot of cars. I mean, if you watch the Spa race, you watch some of these guys are putting out 4 or 5 cars out there.
No, because I'm not all knowledgeing on things, but the GTLM class, that's just manufacturer class.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
So there's no way that he could just be like.
They couldn't. Even if they ran a whole pro driver team, they couldn't. Okay. They couldn't do that within the rule confines. It just doesn't work that way. It has to be the factory team. So it's kind of a bummer. But I mean, nevertheless, those GTD teams are still at Le Mans, but they are just in there for their class. Like we saw Dempsey Proton at Le Mans. They podiumed when one of their cars.
Yeah, they did.
So I think they took second, right? Second. I think the Dempsey
second?
Proton car at Le Mans took second because the Aston car took first. Anyways, getting off topic. Point is, go to Rolex, cut the shit, get out there, right? Get out there and do something.
Enjoy.
Don't sit at home. It's not doing you any good. Next thing, Taycan. Again,
can't
hear it enough.
It's the new boy in the streets.
Damn fly's not going away. It's just fly in the ointment.
It's just evolving.
Yeah, it's getting bigger. It's eating the honey. Anyways, full carbon body kit being made for the Taycan. Now, the information that was passed to us, which I find interesting, so I'm going to go through some of the information that was passed to us. Costing around $15,000 for the full kit. Yeah. It's 14 panels. It used all the factory mounting points to give it an OEM finish. So everything's all seam fit still. As a rear diffuser, all that kind of stuff. You can get it in matte carbon fiber or gloss. Mm-hmm. I think the most interesting thing about this, they gave us price, they gave us amount of panels, they gave us It's going to be OEM finish. You know, you got the whole song and dance to buy this thing. But in this whole thing that was given to us, doesn't even talk about the weight savings on this, which I was kind of baffled by.
So every panel that can be pulled off the car comes off.
Comes off.
And then this gets bolted
replaced with the carbon fiber. So we already know the Taycan's a heavy car. There's no secret about that. Those batteries are heavy.
Yep.
But you would think that this company would want to brag about the weight savings if they're replacing every panel with carbon fiber.
You think it's null? You think it's just dead even?
There's just no way it could be. I mean, carbon fiber is less than aluminum.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's only 100 pounds, is it?
Still worth,
so, like, what I want to discuss about that is, do you think it's so minimal they didn't even want to put it out there because the price comparison to weight saving, like most people will, if they own a Taycan and they want to do this, will say, wait a minute, I'm saving 100 pounds for $15,000. Do you think that's what this is? Or do you think this is just a marketing gap when they gave us information of like, oh shit, I forgot to tell you guys, you're saving 350 pounds?
It seems like that would be the first thing you would want to know when you're changing out body.
Well, anytime you talk about carbon fiber, right?
Yeah.
Like you're like, okay, what's weight savings on that?
First thing, and then you get to price. Price is last. That's the way that I would feel if I'm looking into that. It would seem that, you know, what's really the use case? Is it just a cool thing, or is there a series where I'm going to need a lightweight Taycan? It needs to be carbon fiber.
Yeah, the series is called SEMA.
Yeah.
Show and display.
Yes, that's true.
EV class.
EV. Yeah.
Static displays.
So if you're a Taycan buyer, are you a buyer of this? Or do you think it's just kind of...
I think this goes back to that whole... The best way I can compare this kind of stuff is, you know, like, remember Leutzer for Mercedes where they make these kits and they do... There's always this unique group of people, but it's probably even less with the Taycan, but because you could pretty much do that to enter Mercedes. And, you know, that has nothing to do with Porsche, but I'm just using it as a comparison.
A tuner, yeah.
I feel that this is kind of that. And the reason why I bring SEMA up was to lead you. I think this is where this body kit lives. It lives at these hot boy shows. It lives at SEMA, like, oh, look what we did to a Taycan. Yeah, we spent an extra $100,000 on top of the 150 with all of this trash that we threw on it.
I think it's a YouTuber special.
It could be. It might not even be that. It may just be one of those, you know, guy has more money than sense, that type of situation. Because at the end of the day, I'm with you. I don't really see a purpose on this. From a weight saving standpoint, the car's already quick. We've driven them. Okay. Maybe you want to give it a different look. Maybe you want to make it more aggressive. Okay. I mean, it's an EV. Like, it's...
Yeah.
I mean, it already looks cool. I mean, yeah, you might want to make it look race car-y, but first of all, they're not in a race car series, so we're trying to fake something that's really that car is never going to really be. It's a sports sedan, you know. I don't really see the place for it other than these shows where you know, maybe the younger rich kid or young professional has, like I said, more money than sense, and I've got an allocation for one. I want to be different. I want to stand out. Look at me. Look at my car. Look, I'm full matte carbon Taycan. Nah. Like with wide fender arches. I think it's the same kind of concept of and I'm not saying this in a negative way, but I'm saying this in a negative way about the people who own these cars. And they're not all this. So I'm giving full disclaimer before I say it. It kind of saying like an RWB kind of thing going on here with this. And what I mean by that is some of those guys do race their cars, but at least some of them do race it. Yep. None of these guys with this Taycan are going to race them.
We have seen Taycans are on track, I believe.
Yeah, we have. But like we talked about this.
Yeah,
so they pull the truck up.
Yep.
This is in Europe. You plug them up with the superchargers. You get so many chargers, and you go out there and do it. But really, you're not buying it for that purpose.
Yeah.
And if you say you're buying it for that purpose, you're a damn moron. You're full of shit.
I think
you're full of shit because if you have money to buy a $180,000, $200,000 Taycan Turbo S, you better have the funds to go buy a damn GT3, because that's what you should be doing out there.
I agree. Totally agree with that statement. I was thinking, but it also gives at least somebody a difference. Their Taycan doesn't have to look like the next door neighbor's Taycan.
Yeah,
I mean, other companies aren't doing that.
I totally agree with you. I think that's what this is,
Yeah.
and
It's a showpiece.
Yeah, this is a aftermarket product. This isn't a Porsche OEM product. But
Showpiece versus a go piece.
Yeah, I agree with that. But why does it need to be carbon fiber?
Because that's what attracts hot boys.
Yeah, exactly. So where I'm going with this is, it doesn't really have a purpose. I hate to knock on it, because, you know, obviously somebody's trying to do something different, and good for them for providing something like this for the 6 or 7 people in the world that want to buy this. Meanwhile, I can't even get a damn charcoal filter for my 964, but hey, somebody's making carbon fiber shit for a Taycan Turbo S. Rock and roll, right? Like, for the 4 people who want it.
It's newness.
Awesome. The rest of us out there, and, you know, time has passed us by. You don't get parts anymore, you know, that kind of stuff. You got to have the new hotness, you know, to go to, you know, the Tokyo Auto Salon with this or something like that, and you got 90 degrees of camber, 90 degrees of camber on your car to go hang out.
That actually might be a spot for that.
I know it will be a spot for that. I mean, Liberty Walk kills there. I guarantee this hot boy thing's going to go down over there. You know, this is where this lives.
It does look good, but I mean, I don't know that the kit looks good, but I know the Taycan looks good with some fat wheels and stuff on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good looking car. It was a good looking car when it left. I mean, some enhancements are okay. I'm more of an OEM plus thing, like, instead
that's
of
what this is.
Okay. Please buy one and put one on your Taycan that has not arrived yet.
Okay.
Please do that, because I want to see that, and then want to scratch one of the panels and then have to see you get it, like, replaced or something like that.
Exactly, and you can't send it back.
But enough of this Taycan garbage. Let's take a break, and then we're going to talk about Porsche Design when we come back, and then we'll talk about Porsche's teased some photos in the past few weeks, and what that means for racing and what that means for Harper Clark stuff. And then we'll talk a little bit about our drive coming up, and then we'll close, right?
All
right, let's do that. Thank you guys listening to PCAR Talk so much. We appreciate you guys so much. I can't say that enough. Check us out on YouTube. We release videos on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Help support the channel. Everything we're doing is trying to bring the community closer together. We definitely appreciate that. Also, when you go onto YouTube, you know, if you could subscribe, maybe pass it along, make a comment, we really appreciate that. Again, circling back to pcartalk.com, there is a newsletter created on there. Please put your information in there. That way we can keep you up to date on anything that's coming forward and anything that we're going to be doing moving forward, and all the exciting things that are coming out. Now back to the show. Right, we're back from break. Let's talk a little bit about Porsche Design.
Yep.
We all know they make everything from golf bags to watches to buildings, apparently. So
that's true.
If you don't know this arm of Porsche Design is pretty much the catch-all for anything engineering you can think of, and there's a lot of arms within Porsche Design itself. Porsche Design oversees a clothing line, oversees building, oversees watchmaking.
They have storefronts too.
Exactly. So it's a Porsche brand within a brand, essentially, right? Yep. So the reason why I bring this up is the latest buzz, if you guys haven't been paying attention, has already passed. Porsche Design is not new to making shoes. Like I said, they make apparel. Mm-hmm. They already have shoes out. This isn't like a first-time endeavor for them making shoes. They have tons of shoes that they make. Mm-hmm. However, this one has caught a lot of typical buzz with Porsche. This is the throwback turbos shoes that they're making with Puma as a joint venture.
Yep.
So, your thoughts on this?
It's going to be expensive for me when they release.
Well, they've already been released.
Well, once
this
they
is pre-recorded,
yeah, I mean,
still.
So, well, yeah, it's true. It was expensive for me then. I think it's cool how they're celebrating colors from all the generations and not just the mint that they initially rolled out with.
The Flash, there's Maritime, all that stuff.
Man, mint's so good. It's definitely different from their just all black shoes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're really good at that.
Because I looked, I was like, oh, I wonder what else they make. And
black,
like,
gray,
down and
white.
It's like,
black, gray, white.
Black. And then they had some running shoes that had nothing to do with.
Yeah, I think they're finally getting on board, because remember there was that fad of that, like, where everybody, and this was a few years ago, pretty much the loudest colored running shoes you could get was like super cool there for a while.
Yeah.
Remember, it was like neon
Yep.
Huarache Nikes or whatever it was. This is typical Porsche, right, though, but they're making limited quantities. Yeah. They're doing a pre-release. They're building a buzz behind it. They're doing essentially PTS color shoes.
No, that's exactly what they're doing. Exactly what they're doing. I find it a little strange that they're not doing it with Adidas. But I mean, I guess they work with both companies. I guess I would say that I guess Design they work with Puma, and then Adidas is kind of like here and there.
Yeah, in and out. I'm sure it has something to do with contractual stuff that they have going on. Do you think it's them okay, they don't have to do a limited supply. They could do as many as people wanted to buy. But does this play back into Porsche with its whole typical limited supply to create a buzz and create hysteria around a particular item to make it desirable? I mean, these are desirable regardless if they sold it to everybody, but like this isn't like, these aren't numbered. So where I'm going with this is, why is this being treated like a GT3 allocation?
Like
why
a special thing?
Yeah. I mean, I know they're special, but like, is it more just for you to feel special if you got a pair? Is that what it's more for?
I think so. It's like the Porsche Jordans, I guess, essentially.
Yeah. So like if I see you somewhere and you've got them, and
know.
I'm like, yo, you got a pair.
Yep.
Is it more for that? Because honestly, I still think I don't think it has anything to do with pricing, because I think they can charge the same price, and anybody who wants one, they should sell them one. Like, why don't, I would think, instead of putting a limited supply on like a number you're willing to produce, why don't you put a time supply on it? Meaning like, okay, for 30 days we're going to sell these.
Sell as many
as many people who want them for the next 30 days, that's it, and then cut it off.
Yeah, but they do pretty well with this whole limited thing that they do.
Oh, of course. I think it's what I'm going is it's the culture that Porsche has created.
I think this might have been a little bit late too, because remember they came out with that all that turbo kind of retro throwback stuff, the T-shirts, the sliders, slide sandals and stuff. I wonder if these were going to be released then, but they just kind of like held back a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe I think it was COVID.
Oh yeah, that's a good call. Maybe
I think it had everything to do with manufacturing of shipping and producing it, and then being able to meet the demand when they wanted to make these, because these actually, back to what you were saying, I were following this very, very closely. I think the original potential release, projected release date was sometime in August.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
Because I was going to buy a pair ready to go then, because a buddy of mine who's like super in the know, where he's always on this stuff, he's sending me links to this stuff, and I was like, when are they coming out? He's like, I don't know, I have a reminder to keep checking. I think August. So we were ready to go in August, and I was like, well, what happened? And it kind of fell off the map. I mean, it really wasn't discussed at all. It wasn't like, oh, we're pushing it back. There was no information on it. So I thought this was just dead in the water.
Yeah.
And then we see this coming back. It's like, all right, hey, fire's alive again. Hey, we're cooking now. So I think personally, I think this falls back into Porsche is one of the top brands in the world that's great at creating a buzz and hysteria around limited products. I mean, there's a few other ones outside of automotive, excuse me, you know, like Supreme, all these other places that, oh, we're only releasing 100 shirts, but they're going to cost $1,000 a piece, or whatever you want to, you know, something like that. There's a lot of brands out there who do stuff like this, and it is a good marketing ploy, because you have, I'm just making numbers up in pulling them out, maybe you have a few thousand people who want something, and you're only making several hundred of them. So it creates, I guess, two things: a guarantee that you're going to sell out. So you're going to meet whatever your requirement is when you agree to the manufacturing of whoever made.
That's the other thing too. I'm sure that it wasn't only Porsche wanting to be limited, but they only have a certain amount that they're going to buy from Puma or whatever and have them made. Are there any colors you think are missing that you would add in there? Because there's not that many colors. No,
there's not. And actually, from the pre-ordered thing that I got, I only saw a few, actually, of like, you know, they showed a lot of pictures of a color wheel. Now, that may change when the release date comes. I'll let you know. Well, I guess this already happened. Excuse me. Sorry, this is pre-recorded. But on a prior episode or next episode, I'll let you know exactly what I ended up doing because I'm going to buy some. So since this is pre-recorded, I can't really tell you exactly what I bought yet because that
it's a secret.
Yeah. In
Even
our time machine, our DeLorean, we went back, bought shoes, come back forward. You get the point. But anyways, where I was going with that topic is I think this is typical Porsche. I think there's some of what you're saying in agreement with that. However, where I don't agree with it is they make jackets. They make T-shirts with Porsche Design. They collab with Hugo Boss on polos. Why is none of that shit limited?
It's true.
Why are these shoes limited? They have 7 to 15 other pairs of shoes currently for sale right now that you can buy at any time of the year. But this supply's limited?
It's turbo.
They know what's going on. They wanted to purposely create this buzz and this buying frenzy. They wanted to do this. This isn't like...
It's working, or it's worked.
Yeah, because we're freaking talking about it.
Yep.
And everybody we know wants a pair.
Yeah, that's true.
Like this plays into that, oh, did you get the Jordan 19s? Did you get the Jordan 23s? I want those. Oh, did you get those throwbacks in that color? This turns into this, like, especially I'm sure this may even fall in, because I don't know any sneakerheads, but this may even fall into a sneakerhead category where these may be rare enough where there's people that are sneakerheads that may want to put this part of their collection. Because if you know anything about sneakerheads, they don't just collect one shoe. They collect all different types of sneakers. And this may be something that great.
Do you think if this does well, they'll do it like a GT line of shoes?
I don't know, man. I think there's a cap, right? There's a ceiling to all of this stuff.
Well, a driving shoe. What if they did a specific driving shoe for GT cars?
Yeah, I think every GT buyer would buy one. So you're going to sell at least, what, 1,500 of that particular car?
Limited.
And since you've sold GT cars for a while, so you probably actually sell more than that because depending on what variant of GT car you have.
True. You pick a special color for that variant.
Or, I mean, just even chassis, like say you have a 997, you have a 991, whatever, like guaranteed. So where next question with this, is this a douchebag thing? If you were to buy these shoes.
It may be pretentious.
What I mean by that is, like, you've seen the guy, right? Because Puma's done deals with Ferrari and all that stuff. You've seen him with Ferrari Puma shoes. I remember like 5-10 years ago when those came out.
Like
people
Joey from Friends.
Yeah, you're out at the bar and then there's like some clown that comes in there with the Ferrari Puma shoes, driving shoes on. But he's wearing them out, like hanging out. And the first thing out of your mouth is like, look at this tool.
Like the Ferrari guy that came in the Luffy Cool thing.
Yeah.
For Road Atlanta.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like Ferrari leather jacket.
Oh, yeah.
But does this make you a Porsche douche for buying these and walking around and just chilling with these?
I think I always feel that way. What if it's like full motorsport everything? That is where that line is kind of like, all right, we get it.
Yeah.
But I think I think you could be classy about it. You don't have to wear Porsche all the things if you just happen to pop on the shoes.
Agreed.
Because the mint, there's not a lot of mint shoes if you're going for mint or maritime. Those colors really specifically don't exist in shoes. So
yeah, so full disclaimer, if you have a pair of these or if you ordered a pair and they're on the way, have some couth about you, right? Wear the shoes, wear some jeans and a regular shirt. You don't need to fly the Porsche Polo, Porsche ball cap, and then jeans and this or whatever, and got to wear the Porsche Design watch and all, like maybe Porsche it down some if you're going to wear the Porsche shoes, right? Don't go all in.
They do say Porsche on them. There's no getting around whether or not it's.
No, I know that, but what I'm getting at is almost has some fashion sense about you, right? Like don't go full R word.
Yeah. Just
don't go full Riri, right?
Yes. That's funny.
I don't want to say the word because it's not appropriate. Like it's not a nice word to say.
Put on
I don't even like the word. That's why I said like the R word.
T-shirt, jeans.
Yeah, exactly.
Mike's gonna throw on one of his 20 pair of them because he's gonna buy a bunch. No, Mike.
Oh yeah.
Stock
have
them up.
Every color for every day of the week.
Stock them up.
It's a matching Porsche T-shirt to go with it. Matching Porsche hat. No, but in all seriousness, don't be that douche. Full disclaimer. But we talked about it before. I wanted to see what your opinion was if it was a douchebag move to even have the shoes. But I agree with you.
I think they're different enough. I still don't. I mean, I don't own any the Porsche Design shoes just because I feel like they're too plain. I think this is a cool factor type thing.
Yeah. This looks more like a sneaker, right?
Yeah, if they made Coke shoes when they did the Coke livery or Brumo shoes, I mean, everybody would be just. It's just something. Not like we're gonna wear them at the racetrack anytime soon, but maybe every once in a while, one Rolex a year.
Yeah,
but
we know a particular old man that has like the Ren Sport reunion shoes in girl size because he's a little guy, and like he'll wear those.
True.
Porsche hat, Porsche jacket, Porsche undershirt, Porsche everything, and that's cool too that you love the brand that much, but. We get it, man. Like I think we've had this discussion before, and we've actually played jokes on ourselves before, right? Like, all right, you showed up in a Porsche. You're at a Porsche event. We get it. You've got a Porsche.
I think people know.
Yeah, I think everybody knows, bro. Like, the shirt doesn't need to tell me that you've got one. I get it. Or the hat, or the shoes, or everything else that you're wearing.
Nobody's counting points.
Yeah, it's almost like the Harley Davidson effect, right?
It's very much the
I got one. I got a T-shirt in Daytona Beach, and then I fucking drove all the way down to Dirty Myrtle Beach, got me one of them too, and then I drove all the way up to White Plains, got me one of them. I got one in every store I've been in, brother.
Exactly.
Everyone.
And match the
hey, Porsche, you're welcome. Maybe have one for each location. So those same Harley guys that became Porsche guys, or if they go back and forth, you can get. I went to Porsche Orlando. I went to Porsche of Tampa, and I've got me a Porsche shirt from that location. I have me a Porsche shirt from L.A.
Just like Starbucks or anybody else that does their location series.
Yeah. Hell yeah, brother! Devil horns all the way.
That could be that. That would sell.
Oh, unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, yes. And that joke that I'm making would become a reality.
Well, what ones that would sell the most? It would be the Brumos or the Jacksonville one.
Oh my God, yeah, that would be the store that couldn't keep them on the shelf.
Yeah.
Like the printing press would just stay hot all the time, just them coming through.
Yep, got me Mary Jacksonville, got me one of them, man.
But yeah, anyways, I don't know where the hell I was going with that, but it was a funny little
all about
excerpt,
shoes and how purposeful they were and how limited editions just sells.
Thank you for keeping me on track. But yeah, they're great at it. Moving on from topic. Okay, Porsche teased some photos a few weeks ago, concept designs on some of these vehicles that are coming out. One of them looks a lot like a hypercar.
Yeah, and there's a couple other manufacturers that they have hypercars.
Yeah,
and we've
you
seen
do
them.
not need to be the smartest person. However, if you know how to draw a line, you can connect the dots because there is a hypercar series coming in IMSA in 2022.
Yep.
Porsche hasn't announced they're in it yet. There's a few manufacturers that have announced they are in it. Bugatti's come out with this Star Wars looking fighter wing jet looking car. That's definitely going to be their car. They're probably going to compete in this series. They haven't made an announcement yet, but it's definitely all of these things are starting. Lamborghini's come out with some crazy car.
Which is strange, though, because Bugatti, Lamborghini, Porsche, all in the same big house group. So that's only a moment of time before Porsche does and goes,
exactly.
This is it.
And so this hypercar series, as time goes on, catches more and more momentum. It's a new class within IMSA.
They look like real cars. Well, I mean, they look like cars. They don't look like prototypes.
Think of GT1, like pictures of GT1s racing. This is what this is kind of going to be like. And I don't anticipate Porsche selling as many as they sold like Carrera GT type stuff, right? They sold Carrera GT 1283, whatever. I don't anticipate them selling that many of this hypercar. I would think it's going to be same thing like they kind of did with the GT1, 3, 4, 5, maybe made for road going purposes, and then the Uber echelons, i.e. Jerry Seinfeld, all these other people, the Sultan of Sand from Dubai or whatever his name is, ends up with some of these specialty hypercars from Porsche that raced in this series. But I really think that there's one coming, right? So where does this door open up into? Well, it opens up into kind of the Carrera GT talk where they made the F1 engine.
Which they have on the shelf.
That never made it out into production back when the Carrera GT was around. So what did they do? They put it in a road-going car. Okay, they still repurposed it. Where I'm going with this is same situation. Fast forward this thing 15, 20 years later, Porsche made an F1 engine again, if you guys don't know, for the current F1 cars that are in the series. Due to a rule change, they didn't sell that engine. They were actually going to be an engine seller for F1 series this current year and the following years. But there was a rule change so that engine is developed, the R&D is there, all of that stuff is there, but this project is shelved now. So Porsche is outstanding at finding another purpose for an engine is what I'm getting at.
So do you think they do, because obviously we know that they have 918s, do you think they do a, not futuristic, but a current Carrera GT? Like they do a roof-off style car, like a homage to it, versus trying to up their game to futuristic styling?
That's a great question, because honestly I don't have an answer for that, what I think behind that. What I think first and foremost, what they're going to do is I really believe that they're going to go racing in the series with this engine and whatever.
Well, why not?
And like at the end of the day, and if you don't know, because if you don't attend racing stuff, most of this stuff is just huge panels that you put on the car. Most of it's a tube chassis. It doesn't look like that underneath. So if you don't know that. So a lot of that design stuff when it's out there on the track doesn't necessarily need to translate to a road car. So back where you were asking, I think they do find a way to put some DNA from whatever hypercar that they run, some similarity. I think their design cues are going to be based on something that they can sell on the road, but I really do believe it'll be way more limited than a Carrera GT. I really...
So like back in the day, like you were saying, back in the day when it was really like 10 cars.
And the shocking number, I think it'll be more just because that's just how we operate nowadays, because there's just more wealthy people out there, let's just put it, than there used to be. And there's more desire for stuff like this. Yeah. People are willing to spend more money nowadays than they were in 1997 for a GT1 road race car. There's just more people involved in racing. It travels better. There's social media. There's a lot more money, again, back in the world. I think the number on this, if they do make a hypercar for the road, I think is 100. I think they make 100 cars.
I think it's whatever the minimum amount for
homologation reasons. Yep. You think they keep it that low?
Whatever it is.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be super low.
Why would you spend any more money when you know you're going to spend it in racing?
Well, it's because it'll help fund your racing. Because what if you can sell this thing for like $1 million or $2 million for a road, and you have, let's put it this way, you have I promise you, if they make 100 of them and they charge $2 million for this car, every single 100 of them will be sold. Yep. So now you have $200 million in your pocket. For an engine you already did R&D on.
Yeah, exactly. You already get.
So you're starting to fund. Yeah. You're starting to fund back some of your money back. Yeah. I see it that way. But you never know. Like back to what you said from a homologation purpose, like whatever the rules for that class is, for you got to make 10, you got to make 15, 20, 30, whatever.
Secretary's painting cars.
Exactly.
Get them out.
A long time ago, things have changed. But I think they're definitely going to go racing. Do you think? Let's play devil's advocate here for a second. What if they don't go into the series? Will you feel kind of shocked by that?
Yeah, I would, just because I feel like that's the next step.
I say series. I'm at class. I keep saying series. I'm sorry, but I mean class.
Yeah, I just think it's the next step for their testing for new hybrid / full EV type things. Mm-hmm. How are you going to make a good 911 hybrid at the end of the day if you can't test it across the world? Yeah. Or at least perform. I mean, everything's performance oriented now, even with the Taycan. But I don't see them, if they're going to spend money.
So to give a little background on the engine, it's a derivative of the prototype 919 car. So that was a 4-cylinder car. It was a V4. So this engine is actually a 6-cylinder. Okay. Nice. Because it had to be a 6 for the F1 racing cars. Yep. It's a turbocharged with a hybrid system set up, just like the cars are racing right now. If you guys don't know, in F1, there's a hybrid system set up. It's a turbocharged car. Most of them are 6 cylinders. You know, that's how it's set up.
V6, not a flat 6.
Exactly, V6. Anybody else know what a V6 turbocharged hypercar recently came out? Ford GT. So
did pretty well.
Yeah. So I think that engine's definitely gonna. So here's two things that I think about this. If they go racing, I think they're going to make a very limited number of cars, like you said, because I don't think they're really going to focus on selling too many of these road cars. But I think they'll sell them whatever the regulation is behind them to actually have to make them for the road. Will there be a hypercar for the road that spirals from this, maybe a continuation of Carrera GT, continuation of maybe. So that's scenario one. Scenario two, they don't even enter into the class. They say, hey, no, we're not doing that. Doesn't make sense for us. We're just throwing money in the fire. We're not going to do that. I do think this engine will then make it into a hypercar or continuation car, and I think they'll sell a lot more of them. I think they'll sell 1,000 units at that point. That's the way I think they'll do it, to say, okay, well, let's get some money out of this engine.
We still got to my back from the F1 stuff.
Yeah, that's what I think will happen. Between those, I think those are the two scenarios that we can live.
But again, it's not a, well, it's just, no, I was going to say it's not a flat six, but it doesn't matter. I guess it doesn't matter. Still.
Yeah, it's going to be a mid-engine hypercar.
Still awesome.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So there's that. All right, let's talk about Fahren.
Yep, there's a trip.
2/3 of the trip's already sold.
Yeah.
So it's already booked. I know it's September of next year. Some people are like, shit, I don't even know what I'm doing next weekend. I get it. However, I don't want to hear it. You're like, I don't know how many people we ran into this year who didn't go last year. It's like, man, I should have went on that trip. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Don't want to hear it. Suck it up. Actually do it. If you're not a club member, become a club member on pcartalk.com so you can have access to go on the drive. You have to be a club member to be able to do the drive. End of story. We give away cool stuff on the drive. It's not just a drive. We give sponsored by Toyo. Give away a set of Toyo tires and any compound you want. You know, you want reins for whatever reason, we'll give you reins. You want R888s, we'll give you those. It doesn't matter. Like, you get to pick them. You tell us the size, we get them shipped to your house. Ask Chris Olson, he got a set. Yep. We give out trophies, tons of swag bags, nice, cool stuff to give away too while we're there. We usually have some unobtainium that we usually give away throughout the year as well. In person, you have to be there to win that stuff. Yep. So the biggest change, I would think, is we drove one day last year on the weekend. That is a change. We are driving 2 days, weekday days, so we don't run into any commuter BS. Traffic, you know, weekend sightseers looking at leaves, whatever.
Because there were some great, there were some, well, I mean, it was a great drive in general, but there were some parts that could have been even better. It was just the weekend.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where you go out and you test almost, and now we've got it dialed in. With that drive, you get a paid dinner on the final night.
Yep.
With the club. It's going to be a good dinner, and you get a lot of camaraderie, and it's awesome driving. So, you know, everybody who's listening that has gone, they already know what time it is. The people that are already signed up, I think they kind of know what time it is. Yep. But if you're going to be in that 1/3 that's going to join, and I'm not saying this to try to be tough or spook you or whatever, lace your boots up when you come. This isn't some type of like picnic parade, drive through the mountains, look at leaves, and, you know, do selfies and shit like that. We drive.
It's getting it.
We get out there, like, safely, but we're doing it. We're not out there, you know, sniffing each other's butts and like hanging out. Like, we're doing damage out there. Like,
we heard one of our friends was going through the tail. He's like, yeah, I was really pushing it. He told us how fast he was going, and I was like, Mike, I was doing double that
in the rain.
Yeah, I was doing double that in the rain, and I was the last guy.
Yeah, and we're not saying that as a brag. We're being safe while we're out there too. Yeah. But what I'm doing, it like, everybody thinks they're a hot rod. Everybody thinks they're a good driver. If you come out there and you're not comfortable, don't worry. We'll place you properly.
Yeah, pace.
And we do that during the safety briefing. So I'm not saying that from an intimidation factor, but I'm definitely saying it from an information factor. If you're coming out there thinking you just want to hang out, probably not the drive for you. But if you want to come out and experience a good drive, a good time, and some actual camaraderie, and possibly win some cool stuff, and have some great memories, then this is the drive for you. But if you're out there really wanting to, like, you know, the picnic photos and all, you can break off and do all that stuff. But what I'm saying is, at pace, when we're out there, we're moving. So, you know, everybody out there has come to drive. Really, it's not sightseeing. You can do that on your own time. You don't need to go in a group of 30 to go sightseeing.
And you don't need that. Like you said, you can do that too, because what we do is, if you want to do your own thing, do it. Here's your lunch point.
Yeah.
Here's your dinner
see you
point.
when I see you.
Yeah.
You know,
that's cool.
And we all have radios, so just check out. Hey, we're gonna stop off. Yeah. You know, we had some people feel sick and car sick last year because you know, it gets twisty, it gets rough. You're pulling some G's. Okay, hey, I need a break. Okay, cool. Hey, move on, guys. We'll catch up.
Or the GT3 gets tired.
Yeah, exactly. Or we grenade a GT3. It happens. So, needless to say, pcartalk.com. Become a member. Go on the drive. Fahren 2021 is approaching quickly. 2/3 of it's already sold out. I hope you guys come out because it really is going to be intimate, and we're always keeping it that way. We will see you guys on the next one.
Yep.
Talk to you guys later.
See you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of P-Car Talk. Connect with us on Instagram at P-Car Talk or online at pcartalk.com.